Hello my fellow degenerates, my name is Billy and welcome to the AVN channel's review of Chasing Sunsets. Chasing Sunsets is an adult visual novel developed by Stonefox Studios and is available on itch, Patreon and Steam. This is the first game by Stonefox Studios and is set for completion over the next 12 months and is currently on chapter 8 of 10. It's a romance visual novel that focuses mainly on a smaller range of characters rather than opting for the larger cast. If you've played this one, let me know what you thought and who was your best girl. If you enjoyed the review, drop a like, and if you're new and want to see more content like this, subscribe and keep up to date. You play the son of a pair of billionaires. At the age of 8, your single mother met a man who would quickly become your new stepdad, bringing along his daughter, who just happens to have the exact same birthday as yourself. Life is good and you are playing happy families with your new stepdad and stepsister, but over the years, as you grow into adulthood, you and your stepsister begin to develop feelings for one another. And for once, this is actually a plausible situation. It isn't a, this is your stepsister situation. No, it is actually your stepsister. And in this situation, it's kind of understandable that two unrelated people may eventually develop feelings for one another. But as they get older, a rift is built between them, and seeing this as a problem and not wanting to ruin the happy family they've built, the MC decides just to take off after graduation and disappears to travel the world for the next 5 years, with little contacts from his parents and his stepsister, only to return upon his parents' death. When we return, we discover that our parents' company is being handed over to us and Jay, our stepsister, but not until the divide between us has been fixed. Our parents' lawyer George, a man who loves a good green pie, takes us to paradise. Tunalulu? I don't know, it's a nice place. Where we're going to work together to prove out we are capable of running the company. Currently living on our parents' yacht, the Sunset, the two step-siblings are assigned tasks to complete in hopes of bringing them closer together and proving their abilities. In the meantime, another woman who ends up being wrapped up in a company, Mallory, decides to join us aboard the boat. I mean, you can't complain, the more the merrier. We begin to learn more about the company and its goals, and whilst we dig through the company's history, we find some secrets that would lead to some revelations to those around us and who they really are. The overarching plot about the companies at first seems just to be there as something to bring everyone together, but honestly, we get more into it and find out more details, it actually becomes interesting, and I can't actually wait for the next chapter to find out where it all goes. But the main issue I have with the story is when we actually start getting into the sciencey parts. Our parents' company deal with genetic engineering or something or other like that. I don't know. Either way, they use large technical sciencey words and I don't have a clue what the hell they're talking about. There was a few times where I actually reread some of the dialogue multiple times just to try to discern what the hell is going on, and I still don't think I know. Even if the words they use are made up or not, it just needs to be stated that most people playing this game are not going to be scientists. I understand that there's a need to make the sciencey stuff believable, but it also needs to be understandable to the everyman. Portraying the game this way doesn't make the developer seem smart, it just succeeds in making the players feel dumb and get lost in what the hell they're talking about. Is it necessary for me to understand the scientific part? If no, then scrap these explanations, they serve no purpose. If yeah, then stop overcomplicating them, because it's just going to ruin it for us. Not only this, it feels like the game is going for a more realistic approach to the story, until later on in the game at least. The events at the start of the game are plausible and can be believed, mostly, but as the game progresses it goes a little bit more towards the science fiction and fantastical. No, there aren't any top secret military grade underground labs yet, Artemis, but we have miracle cures, top secret genetics research and corporate espionage. Now this isn't a problem, it just seems that at first it positions itself as something akin to a slice of life type of game of a guy trying to reconnect and build the relationships in his life. Other than this though, the story is actually entertaining and well paced. We don't have a huge cast and the main characters we need to focus on get plenty of screen time, and that's truly the main focus of the game, the character and the relationships between them. The game jumps between time period frequently, from 16 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 weeks ago, and so on. But when it happens it's relevant to the plot and it's easy to keep up with what's happening. Although the game does start with the MC telling a family friend his story and he goes back in time. After the first couple of chapters, this storytelling premise seems to be forgotten. It's not a big deal, but we started on this premise and it eventually gets lost, so what's the point in starting on the premise in the first place other than an excuse to go, hey, let me tell you a story. Chasing Sunsets is a romance visual novel first. The main focus on the character relationships and more specifically the relationships between the MC, Jay and Mallory. with the option to pursue either or both of the girls, and depending on a choice made on the way, each will give different results. There is an opportunity to start an open relationship with them both, but the MC even states himself that he doesn't think the girls are too happy with this arrangement. In the current content, it don't really go further than this, but it's something that could come to head in the future updates. And we don't really see a significant amount of relationships building between the MC and the other characters beyond Mallory and Jay, due to the game skipping about in time, but what we do see are key moments. The moments that progress a relationship in regards to either a sexual relationship or just as friends. But these are relevant areas, and for the most part we get to see them, which helps us understand the dynamic of the MC's relationships. Now, even though the game's main focus is on the two main girls, that doesn't mean the MC doesn't have the opportunity to get involved with the other women. These aren't serious at this point, and they haven't really seen whether the pursue of these relationships are going to affect the relationships with the main girls. It seems that a lot of the side girl content is isolated to just them at that moment, and it hasn't really spilled over into the main story just yet, but it is something I could see happening in the future. The side girls within the game are Erica and Linda, a daughter and a mother. The MC can choose which one to pursue. We have Lisa, the CEO of our parents' company, apparently a woman with a fair few years older than the MC. What the hell is in the water around here? And same goes for the cougar Bianca, a family friend who allows a group to stay at her house for some time. We also have our chef who hates us for no apparent reason other than just being a f***boy. I mean, yeah, I kind of understand where she is coming from there. And we also have Amanda. Pursuing her is different than pursuing the other side girls. Mechanics are on the sparse side. This is ultimately a choose your own adventure style visual novel and nothing beyond that. And in this game I don't really see it needing more than this. The two main girls have a love score and a trust score that change depending on what choices you make. And at the end of the chapter, the game will show you your current standing with each of these girls. Even if you don't pursue one of the girls, you can still gain love and trust with them, just as with real relationships. I didn't always see the love score as something pertaining to romantic relationships, but sometimes that could be the support of a family or a friendly relationship. For example, if you choose not to pursue Mallory, she will still have love for you and respect your choice. She may still want to be more, but understands that's not going to happen. She doesn't just lose all love for the MC simply because the MC didn't choose her. Again, like I said, it feels a bit more of a realistic approach to relationships as far as visual novels go. The main issue I have with the relationship point system is that the girls are sometimes omnipresent apparently. Seriously, it's like you got God watching over your shoulder everything you do, and if that's the case, I'm going to hell. But seriously, you'll be in a scene with Jane and you'll say something that will change Mallory's trust levels. How the hell does Mallory know? There are also achievements in the game. For me, I'm not really bothered much by achievements, I've said it before, but it's nice for those players who do want them, and it gives a bit more of a replay value to the game. And we also break the fourth wall sometimes, hitting out on the payment processors and things like that, and I love it. Fuck them and their pathetic attempts at morals. So the visuals in Chasing Sunsets are nice, but you can sometimes see that this is Stone Fox Studios' first attempt at a game like this, especially when it comes to the quality of the characters. Some characters have much more detail than others, and the characters' expressions can sometimes be a little bit over-exaggerated. But the characters are expressive at least, and by that I do mean that during the conversations there'll be a lot of renders showing minor movements in the characters, a mouth slightly opening or eyes moving around the scenes, and even the backgrounds move when relevant. And this all helps carry the conversation, making it clear who is speaking and the emotion within the conversation. And I really don't take that stuff lightly, and because I really do appreciate it. Each render takes time, and even a minor movement in a scene requires a new render, so where the quality sometimes falters, it definitely makes up for it in that regard. And the UI is also clear, text is in the text box and is clear and visible. The characters have unique names and colours, and not only this though, there are little character avatars next to the text. It's small enough not to take away from the renders, but it makes knowing who's talking easily identifiable. Not only that, the avatar changes poses depending on whether the character is speaking out loud or thinking. Honestly, I don't see the need for this in this game because it's easily identifiable who's speaking with the on-screen cues already, but honestly it doesn't actually do any harm, and it can be useful in a conversation with several characters I suppose. But like I say, it's not a negative, but kind of a pointless benefit, but let's keep it. The biggest letdown in the quality is the animations though. There aren't any safe for work animations that I can remember, so if there was, clearly they mustn't have been that good because I can't remember them. But there are a few lewd ones, and the movement and the loops are smooth. It's the quality of the characters that are the main issues. You go from this realistic looking renders to these clearly low quality animations. The characters clearly stand out against a photorealistic background. It's like the poor quality CGIs used to get back in the 90s. I used to think that shit looked amazing growing up, by the way. God, how far we've come.
I'm not sure. I don't know how to use my magic eyes yet.
No, maybe not. Now these do improve as the game progresses, and in the later chapters the animated characters and the renders do look a lot better, but the unfortunate side is that this makes the lesser quality areas stand out even more on a second playthrough. Now correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe Stone Fox Studios did mention that upon the completion of the game they will still be doing a bit of work on it. Hopefully they will go back and clean up some of these lesser quality things, specifically the animations. So, the audio in the game is kind of up and down. There is music and it's decent, soundtrack has a good variety, and the music isn't used constantly throughout the game. It's actually just used in key moments, which helps add a huge impact to the scenes. I mean, in my opinion, this is the best way to use the music. It really helps add an emphasis to the key story moments. And there's also a lot of sound effects and ambient noise, which are both good. The sounds of the waves hitting the boats with a warm breeze going through the air, and it all adds to the scene, if you know what I mean. And the problem, however, is when the music kicks in. Sometimes it doesn't loop, and if it runs longer, and if the scene runs longer than the music, usually there isn't any ambient noise afterwards. So you're left with this heavy silence. And this is even more noticeable because in other areas of the game the audio is used in a great way, and it really lets it down in this department. And in regards to voice acting, it's non-existent except for one instance. When it comes to chasing sunsets and lewd scenes, it does a fairly good job on realism, with the focus being mainly on two girls. Most scenes involve them, but they don't just jump into bed with you, as it's taking a more realistic approach to them relationships. The quality of the lewd scenes themselves are questionable, but I've already covered the aspects of the quality in the visual section. Other than the animations of the lewd scenes, they mainly consist of still renders. In fact, I don't think it was actually until later in the game where we actually got an animation in them. And in regards to sound effects, there aren't any. I say this with nearly every time, but sound effects during these scenes can really up the level of them. Why go hard?
God damn it! What?
On the animation, just to let it down with audio. At first I thought this was going to be an easy choice. I mean, look at Jay, redhead, emerald eyes, bang on the money boys and girls. That's until we met Amanda. Honestly, this girl's amazing. She's absolutely hilarious, absolutely no social awareness whatsoever, but it's these quirks that make her interesting. She's Mallory's close friend and suffers from Rett syndrome, a disorder that affects the way the brain develops. But due to this, she has some, let's say, unnatural, unique abilities compared to most people. And that's nothing sexual, that's to do with the mind. She can memorize most information without issue, but at the same time, she has very little social awareness, speaking up and saying things that people just usually wouldn't or shouldn't in most cases. And this leads to some funny situations, but at the same time, she becomes a huge vital member of the group. Which is good because at the first, she was mainly portrayed as just a background character just with a bit of ties to Mallory's story, and she still has vital ties to Mallory's story and is an essential piece to her route, but I honestly found myself really enjoying the scenes with Amanda in. She's funny, and even when she's in a more serious scene, she helps break it up with humour. Overall, Chasing Sunsets is a great game. It does lack in the visual department in some areas, especially towards the beginning of the game, but this didn't put me off. Yeah, some of the parts don't look great, but they are still decent compared to your average adult visual novel, and the quality improves as the game progresses. The characters are good, and we do see them grow throughout the game. Well, at least the main ones, and the overall story is entertaining, and I'm looking forward to future updates. However, when the story does start to get technical, I feel it's just trying to make itself look smart, and it's unnecessary and serves just to complicate things. But would I recommend it now, or should you wait until completion? Well, to be fair, there is a good amount of content already, and what we do have is enjoyable. There is good replayability with at least 4 defined routes. If you're looking for a game with slightly more realistic approach to relationships and consequences, then this is definitely a good one for you. But if you just want a sex simulator with a bit of story attached, this probably isn't the right one. Chasing Sunsets is going for a more story-heavy, cinematic approach, and I feel like it really does a good job in achieving it.